The focus of our film session today is going to be on Niles North, in particular their backcourt of Reid, Olson, and Yaris, Irby. Very dynamic, experienced backcourt. Both returned from last year. They combined for about 30 points between the both of them. Both able to shoot the three, good playmakers, have a little bit different play styles, but are both really going to project better as point guards at that next level. And they just have a great chemistry between the both of them. Now, Niles North also has Kaiden Chatham. Dylan Lam also starts. That Hunter Garwan is kind of that focal point inside for them. He's, a big who's one to watch. All juniors for this group. So right now we got Olson on the ball. We got Yaris here around half court. Weak side, Chatham guarding the corner. Hunter's here guarding Scroggins in the post. And then we got Dylan Lam coming to guard here. So here, sophomore, Mordini had a really good game for Lake Forest. Really poised, he's a talented guard. It's a good use of his length there to get that shot up. So they were mainly in a 1-3-1 to kind of limit the outside shooting in the driving lanes. Niles North is a really good downhill team historically. Reid Olson is an elite outside shooter, and he can shoot from anywhere on the court. So there's a reason why, even though right now Tommy's a wing here, he has to step up here. This is within his shooting range. Back up for a second, he hits it from the volleyball line. That's not even, generally speaking, defensively, I'm going to live with that shot. I'm not living with it if Reid's the one taking it. You can't leave him even around the volleyball line. Way past NBA range, doesn't matter. It's in rhythm. He's got the green light there because that's a shot he actually works on. And that stretches the whole defense for Niles North. Eventually, Lake Forest had to get out of that zone. So good kick there. So personnel-wise, you can't let Hudson get to his left hand. Way too skilled getting there. Really good touch around the rim. He had a solid game for Lake Forest here. It's a good look. Good kick out. So we already see 2 possessions, 2 threes here. It's only 4-5 at this point. So this is still early on in the game. You see that's a hard drive from Kaiden, kicks it out. And they got a bunch of guys that can shoot the three too. I mean, it's hard to really match up man or zone with Niles North because you do have 2 just dynamic, skilled guys that can create their own shot. See a little bit of a stagger there. It's a little bit too much space. So Tommy's not really a knockdown 3-point shooter, but he can hit it with time and space. He's one of the best players in the area, though, when it comes to versatility, kind of doing everything. Here, I wouldn't say that was the path of least resistance. Here from Yaris getting through that. So I'd say just pick, left shoulder, right shoulder to try to get through. Kind of got caught up, clipped a little bit on that on Mordini's screen. And then he got the 3. Again, scouting report-wise, you're more worried about Tommy on the glass and inside, but if he's got time and space, he can knock that down. So if you notice, they did a lot of 4-out against this zone. If you see the shooters, and it's still early on, but they already have the 2 threes, you don't understand why. That one in, Hunter feasts in the inside, whether man or zone, because of how much attention everybody else draws on the perimeter. And he's a kid that shot about 65% last year as a sophomore, mostly around the rim. But his game's growing as well. Martini a little short there. And then, so transition-wise, you do not want to miss early, turn the ball over, and most importantly, you need to have multiple guys back against Niles North, because if you don't have guys back when you shoot, it's coming right back down, getting the ball to the paint. It's a good drive there. And then again, I'm telling you, he's going to get on the glass all the time. So right now it's 10-9 Lake Forest for this timeout. We'll skip ahead a little bit. All right, so this is a little bit later on in the first quarter. 15-14 Lake Forest. Pretty back and forth to start the game for the most part. Still got that 1-3-1. Size-wise, I think that's very important when you talk about where to attack from an offensive standpoint. You got Grant Mordini, who's 6'10" in the middle. Aberley's only about 6'2", but I mean the way he plays with his activity, he might as well be 6'5" with the way he rebounds, covers ground, defends. Scroggins 6'7" out there, so this is a long kind of second line of this. Not as much size at the top and bottom. That matters from a skip standpoint, knowing who you can throw the ball over, where you need to attack, and then rebounding wise, that kind of with Hunter down there. The reason why he got a lot of those is because sometimes they had to extend out high with these middle guys, left him down there with, point guards, two guards down there. It's a good drive from Dillon. It's a good kick. And then again, a lot of times people look at guys who are kind of primary ball handlers, more ball dominant players. Yaris is going to be a kid you want to have, with the ball in big moments. And he does do that for Niles North, AAU, same thing. But one thing that I think has really helped since he's been at Niles North is really learning and thriving as a guy who can play off ball. And a big part of that is just taking the open ones, keeping the game simple there. It's a catch and shoot corner three, hands and feet ready, pure stroke, incredibly skilled. He's one of the more skilled point guards in his class. So a little chin action here. They're going to get that back pick, and then you're going to see they're going to finish it with a flare screen. So Kaiden, very good defender. Definitely, I would say probably with the guys they have out, the best matchup to guard Hudson in this scenario, with Mordini in at the 5. Here comes a ball screen here. So from Lake Forest's perspective, Grant Mordini's only option at this point really should be to slip out of this to get a layup. We'll see what he ends up doing. The way that Hunter's already guarding, it's going to be a hard show, potentially a blitz or a double off of this. It's a good slip. It's a good finish. So that's a good read there. You got your experienced point guard and Tommy Aberley there making a good decision. Mordini makes a good read to slip off that. Weak side, though. So that's kind of what I want to focus on right now. Weak side defense. I personally don't really care about an elevator screen when the ball's on the exact opposite corner. Even if they throw that pass, you're going to have time to recover. So these three low guys, so this is Reid here, this is Dillon here, that's going to have to be a very difficult pass when Tommy had the ball to throw it all the way across on that elevator. This is just false motion to get that slip. So one of these two needs to be ready to help take a charge, see the basketball there. Because Dillon and Reid looked like they were more focused on the shooter coming out of that elevator. But good play design by Lake Forest to get that. So it's 20-14 right now. Good job moving it. It's a really good pass. And like I said, Hunter gets most of his points within 5 feet. But if you watch the way that he moves, he does the work that's needed to make sure he doesn't have to over-dribble or do anything too complicated when he gets the ball. So as the ball's moving, he's looking for angles. So you see as the ball is here, not a quick enough drop from Tommy on the weak side. Kaiden, that's a pinpoint pass. It's a high flyer here, so you want to throw it where only he can get it. That is the downside in a 1-3-1 if you do have lower guys on the wings and on the bottom. And as I mentioned to start, when we were looking at this segment, we go back a little bit. Size matters. So who's in what spot in this zone is super important. If Scroggins is down here, so if Hudson's on this side, that's probably a tougher pass. Now, they could have had better ball pressure here, but because you have 6'2", 5'11", 6 foot, instead of if it was on the other side where Reid would throw it, you got 6'7" going to help. That makes a difference in this lob angle. So as you see, Hunter's, 3 for 3 in the portions that we've watched. He doesn't miss a lot of shots. When he gets it down there, he makes the defense pay. Good hard show. Got to make sure he gets back a little quicker. Probably only need 2 slides or so. It's good defense from Reid. Oh, finish the layup. Good anticipation, though, to get this steal. And that's an area where I think since he's been a freshman, he's one of the more competitive kids that I've seen. Like when I watch games, I've never watched a game that Reid Olson's played in and wondered whether or not he was giving his full effort and energy. Doesn't mean he's going to have perfect games, but to a certain point, that's all you can really ask from a coaching standpoint is he going to be ready to play on a given day? Good job jumping the passing lane, getting out on the break. Swan Hill's normally going to finish. So now they get it with numbers coming down. We'll see what Lake Forest does with it. Little tougher pass. They probably could have just gone corner with it. But it was the end of the quarter. They were trying to get a shot up. So we'll skip ahead a little bit more. Okay, so score-wise, the score kind of fluctuates a little bit because it is a live stream. So not for sure that this was the actual score at the time, but it's listed at 23-21. Still in the second quarter. Good backdoor there. Need to have that help be a little bit quicker on the weak side. So one thing about Lake Forest that you know is that there is going to be a lot of backdoors. Here, it's just got to be an understanding of kind of where we're at on the court. Need a little bit better help from these kind of backside guys. But this would be one, again, we just saw him get a steal on the exact kind of same entry. Now, the other one was a little bit closer to the volleyball line. A little tougher to get a layup off the back door from the higher spot, but this is kind of more true wing. So this is a gamble. If you miss it, they don't throw it, it is going to be a back door. So Reid does jump that one. At least Hunter here comes over to help. That makes it a little bit tougher of a shot, and now they get to run off that. That's ridiculous. That's probably a step inside of half court. Full rhythm, full confidence there. And the one thing that really stands out about this shot is there's not an adjustment in his form. So you don't see what you see with some kids where when they start getting out to the volleyball line, they really got to change their mechanics and start chucking the ball. This is his regular form. This is fluid, one step in front of the line, 1-2 gather, and that's pure. And defensively, I understand why that might be difficult to guard because you're not used to having to stretch out there. He is one of the premier shooters in the entire state, and that's something that is unequivocal to me. I don't think there's any question about that. I think this game he ended up hitting 6. That's a good back tap there from Yaris. And they're going to get a travel there. But there is, there's a certain value that you have when you have a kid like Reid that can shoot the ball from that deep because the defense is always on high alert and they will naturally stretch out to avoid giving that up. So that means these driving lanes for Yaris, for Kaiden, for all these guys are more open. Good pass fake there. It's a good extra pass. Might have been a heat check, but again, that's a shot that he can make. Good skip pass. And then that's a right on time dump off. Yaris is one of those combinations of a kid with great vision, kind of great sense for making passes, but he also is capable of making some of those difficult ones that you don't really see high school kids usually make. So if you notice the ball doesn't ever really seem to stick with Niles North, it's snapping and popping around against the zone. So that's a quick, I'm attacking a closeout. He doesn't want to give up the 3. Remember earlier he already hit one in this spot. Help comes, sets up to take a charge. The body control and then the awareness of knowing who's where on the court. So he makes that Euro. He already knows he's making that pass. But again, the look off just gives Hunter that much more time. It was probably going to be a layup either way, but it's that creativity and that sense that Yaris has that I think is a differentiator compared to other point guards. So right now it has Niles North up 3. It's a good bump on the curl. So they're getting into one of their sets now. It's good ball pressure. Like I said, Reid's been this season. He's really getting up and guarding guys. Put on a lot of strength over the offseason. I would guess at least probably 5 to 10 pounds. Just a lot stronger, a lot more muscle to be able to stay in front, but not just stay in front. Use his strength to start leveraging that to get guys off their spot. They're back into that chin action. Really like to get the ball to Aberley in this spot for obvious reasons. Someone's got to come up with that. So to me, that's just from Tommy's perspective. That's just a kid being a dog on the glass. I mean, he's probably the smallest one in here going to get these. I think that's 3 shot attempts at the rim. So he gets it. This is why they like to give him the ball in the low post too, because he is not afraid to go through contact. He finishes in traffic, and he is completely relentless on the glass. So there's a second chance there. Goes up, gets bumped, no foul, gets it again. And then he's basically getting raked across the shoulder, and he still finishes that. And if you look at the number of guys, I mean, that's basically a 1-on-3 at this point, and he comes away with it. So that's, from Aberley's perspective, you'd love to see that on the glass. For Niles North, got to collapse more. There wasn't enough guys really jumping for that rebound there, right? You do want to wall up, but at a certain point, you got to stick your nose in there, go get that ball off the glass. So we'll skip ahead past the free throw. So it has it as a 1-point game right now. Again, the ball's just snapping all the way around. And then that's another 3 for Yaris. If you counted, I'm talking under a second between when the guys are catching the ball and when it's getting pushed to somebody else. So Kaiden catches it right back. It's one touch, getting it around the perimeter. Just good basketball. And it's tough to guard, even if you have length, even if you have athleticism in a zone. It's tough when the ball is moving like that if you're not able to get deflections. And they're not holding it. They're not, standing there with the ball over their head. They're catching the ball ready to make a decision. So back to the same chin. Again, this is IQ. This is a small thing. Obviously, there's nothing that develops of it because of the positioning. But the exact same play was run. Tommy got the ball on the block. Yaris, you're going to see now when he goes through the screen, instead of playing behind and allowing him to catch it on the block, he's going to front on this back screen. That's going to allow him to negate any entry to even go in there. So you don't even have to worry about the second, third, fourth chances. Don't even let him touch the ball. Look, he's fronted here. So now they have to reverse a basketball. Small thing, but that's basketball IQ there on Yaris' part. I think probably a bump there. And that's also wing personnel-wise. Like I mentioned earlier, if you let Hudson get to that left hand, you're going to be in trouble the whole game. All right, so we'll skip ahead a little bit. So we got a wing ball screen, fairly aggressive show. I'd say Hunter's got to sprint back a little quicker. What I mean by that is big-wise, I would say kind of 2 slides is that generic kind of standard rule for this on the hedge, depending on who the guard is, obviously. But you go 1, 2, you got to turn and sprint back. Weak side now, Reid does a good job of helping, but because Hunter didn't sprint back, now we got 6'7" on 6 foot down there, right? So Reid's going to work and he's going to battle. But again, Hudson gets over that right shoulder with his left to get to his left hand. It's going to be points more often than not. The only thing here that Reid could have done, because he's going over as the tag guy in this spot, they hit the lift, they got it to the post. Either Hunter's got to stay down to help to force the ball out, but then you'd be leaving shooters, or Reid in this one-on-one spot, you have to say, I'm making you beat me going over your left shoulder. So when he starts getting back middle, just knowing tendencies, step over to that middle, force him to go back baseline. Now, he still may shoot that with his left hand, but it's at least a little bit more uncomfortable. And you got Kaiden coming to hunker down. So if you take away that left hand drive back middle, force him to his non-dominant hand, you might actually get a rip here. But good job by Hudson using his body, using his size, not letting Reid kind of bump him off his spot. Again, quick skip pass, good flare screen away. Ball's still moving quick. That's way too much space. Yeah, you didn't even have to. I mean, as soon as that ball got passed over, you knew that was probably going to be in here. So that's, zone. That's why zone is tough, especially a 1-3-1. Those corners will always be exposed. Teams can really shoot them. And you got the best two players on Niles North in the corner, both really good catch and shoot guys. Reid knocked that off. Now, if you see here, Lascala's kind of looking for guys to not be pinned. This is smart down low by Hunter to pin the low guy. Ran right into him. It's a wide open three for the best three-point shooter in the gym. So for Niles North, you'll take that every single time. All right, we'll look for about 30 seconds more of this half, and then we'll look at a little bit in the third quarter. So again, back to that chin action, flare screen up top, backdoor wasn't there, chasing it into a ball screen. So I'm looking right now kind of at our low man weak side to see how well we tag. This is now coming off the ball screen. If Hunter hedges hard and Hudson catches the ball here, now he's on his left side. That, if we're making a chart of percentages, I would imagine in that situation he's probably 65+% if he's catching it kind of empty side off of that. So we'll see how he closes out here. Remember, left hand. It's a good crossover. And that's really good help. So good job there, Lake Forest-wise, from Hudson to get downhill. Yaris, that's just helping out your teammate there, right? Good right to left cross, really low. Again, he's going to be a monster once he figures things out. I think Hudson's already having a really good season. Yaris, good job. Brings the ball low, strip that, goes off his knee. They get the ball back. Right, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. All right, so now we're in the second half. I'm going to start running it right from the beginning. 10-point game. Niles North is up 37-27. Now, matchups are important here. Kind of just how the first half went. I know we saw a decent amount of it. Lake Forest was heavy in the 1-3-1. Second half, there's a lot of man-to-man for them. And you'll see right away they're attacking matchups here for Niles North. So they're getting right into an action, back screen, pin down, right into a leg whip. Yes, that is the point guard down low on the block. Point guards that are able to play out of the post will, I would imagine, for the foreseeable future, be incredibly valuable because you don't see a ton of ones, twos, and even threes that are that comfortable guarding down there. So if you're really strong at using your base, using angles, shot fakes, pivots, it's really hard to guard. And you see on Lake Forest's side, that's why when Tommy gets down there, it's a problem for a lot of teams. Here, Yaris is getting it on the sophomore, Don Mordini. Just rising up and taking a shot. Not too difficult. That's a shot he can hit. He's on balance. Mordini's probably got, 4 inches on him, but, Yaris elevates well. See, they're going right back to Tommy now on the block. It's a good kick out. The shot Lake Forest should be happy with. It's quality catch and shoot 3. So still in man here. It's a quick stop and pop. That's 4 quick points off the bat. Irby and Reid can both just go for stretches where they're scoring 6, 8, 10 in a row. And that's something that teams really have to worry about. I've got to finish that possession. Oh, it's tough because Kaiden's on the ground there, it looks like. So good job by Mordini, finishing out the play there. Kind of tough for Niles North, guy on the ground. Don't really want to get stepped on in that situation, but a few too many chances there to get a shot. So we'll go past the free throws. Mordini had a great game for them. I think he finished with 15 points. Like I mentioned earlier, he's going to be really good. Just really natural scorer. I think he's going to keep growing as well physically. At this point, I think they got it up to 11 now with the lead. We got a wing ball screen. Oh, hit him in the shooting pocket there. So the pass isn't on target, but the reason why man is tough against this team, Yaris is so good at creating plays for himself and others. The pass isn't where it needs to be here, but just the ability to even make it. This is one bounce to his left hand, obviously a strong hand, whipping it across the court to a shooter and seeing that while he has two guys on the basketball. That is reading the second level of help. So when Tommy comes over to help, he's reading that, and that's why he's able to make this pass. You see Kaiden setting a flare for Reid there. Pass a little bit too high, but you like the vision. You like to see kind of the thought process there. Obviously you want the execution as well, but normally he hits that on time, on target. Still feel, confident in that. I think Yaris, he's just scored the first two possessions. He's probably looking to go at Mordini, obviously a sophomore, so that's a matchup he probably feels like he can go to attack. So then, even small things like this. So I would say I don't want Olson overrunning because that's a backdoor again. But I think Reid was trying to make him work to catch the ball. He had a pretty solid first half, scoring more than he normally would. But it's having that discipline, playing the cat and mouse game. Now instead of catching it on that spot, he's got to catch it on the opposite wing. Now they got to redirect the offense. It's a good high post entry. They tried to high-low there. Yaris did a good job again. But again, what hand are we going to? He's too talented going to his left hand to give that up without really a ton of resistance. He's really good at these bumps. When he gets to 2 feet, and I think once he gets to college, I could easily see him getting to 220 fairly easy weight-wise. Once he gets to those bumps, I mean, he's lanky, skilled, starting to play with a good amount of toughness as well inside. You're not really going to be able to do too much with that. All right, so we'll look at one more possession here, and then we'll skip ahead a bit more. I love that play design. It's a good hit. So again, this is execution. That's all it is. It's either back in the man, it's a little pass across. So all we're going to see here is Hunter is going to set a step up, and then he's going to chase that right to get Reid. This is the benefit of having a guy that can shoot from the volleyball line. Angles don't really matter here in terms of what spot Hunter sets this. If this was a regular shooter, you probably want a little bit better angle so you can curl it to be at, I would say, the regular shooter's range. He can shoot from almost out to half court, so it doesn't really affect him here. It's on the run from NBA range, catching that with a head of steam. You're not going to see a lot of guys that are even able to make the shot at the college level. Full speed, still got a guy chasing him. You're in a crowd, essentially, of 3 or 4 bodies, still able to elevate and hit that. It's a big-time shot. All right, so a little bit later in the game, 6-point game at this point. Niles North is up. Gonna look at a few minutes, and then we'll bounce to a last segment, kind of closer to the end of the game. Sending Mordini there over a Iverson cut. I would say that's too much space on the catch. I mean, he could shoot this right away. It's too long of a closeout. I would say Dylan probably could have chased over because you should have help. Weak side. That's a good take. Like I said, he's going to be a really good player for Lake Forest. It's good body control. Because he went underneath and he had already hit one, Now he's sprinting out, a little bit under control. It's a good drive to close out. And then help-wise, because guys are scrambling, there wasn't really anybody there. And then that's a good use of the rim's protection to get that finish. Should be down to a 4-point game. It's a good job hitting the brakes there. It's one of his go-to shots on that right side. So full head of steam. Also a note, just talking about burst, Reid wasn't moving with this level of explosiveness and pace last year. Still got solid burst when he was a sophomore, but there's a different gear that I think he has now that he didn't have a year ago. It's balanced. That's going to be an open shot too. If you don't take it away, he's going to be able to go to the rim and finish on that. That one doesn't fall, but again, that's a shot that he can score on consistently. Good steal in transition. It's good body control. Again, little thing here. Watch when Yaris goes to jump. We got 6'10" weak side there. So 6'10" is probably timing this up to pin it off the glass. Watch how when he jumps, he veers into, that's Grant Mordini on the other side. He can't block that shot at that point. He negates it completely by the use of his body. Just a slight lean to his right side. And then a good double clutch. Probably double clutch he needed in order to be on balance there. All right, wing ball screen here. We know they've been a little bit more aggressive so far to this point on that hedge. Not really a show. Again, Dom just played really well this game. I mean, he got to his spots. This is a level of poise you don't usually see from a sophomore. He was kind of cooking at this point of the game. But, I mean, that's the level of confidence and comfort that you want to see out of a young point guard. So the screen comes. A little bit of a mix-up here in terms of Hunter trying to get through a body. Got kind of clipped there. So there wasn't the same head. So there's not anything really deterring Dom from getting to his spots. He's a good pull-up shooter when he gets to that kind of 12 to 15-foot range. So he's getting there. He's just elevating, using his length right over the top. So again, at this point, he had really started to get going offensively. That's a good take. And again, I think sometimes Kaiden might get lost in the shuffle from the standpoint of coverage. But I mean, athleticism-wise, he gives them a different dimension in their backcourt. I mean, this is a strong downhill drive. When you look at Niles North's kind of track record of guards, there's a lot of guards in the past that Coach Olson's had that, play downhill with this type of style. It's like 6'3", 6'4", good length. It's good body control with the contact for the finish. All right, we'll skip ahead a little bit past the free throws. Again, so now Reid switched on to Dom because, if you need a guy to lock, first of all, if anybody knows about being face guarded the whole game, Reid Olson's one of them. So if he needs to do that, he's capable of doing it, has a really good motor, really good stamina as well. So he's in shape to do it if he needs to. Here he's really just making them work. It's not, I don't know if this is a true face guard, but he's not really making it easy for him to catch the ball. Good ball pressure there from Hunter. And then, okay, so Kaiden, I like that defense because you at least took away his strong hand, right? Like you're at least making him go to a little bit uncomfortable spot. Now, because of how skilled and smart he is, he's just going to get into a Barkley here. Get into the free throw line. Again, he's talent-wise the type of kid, if he puts it all together, like he's a 16 and 10 type of kid, if we're talking about talent. And, Kaiden Chatham's a very good defender, and there's just not enough height to really deter that. All right, so we'll skip ahead to kind of the last segment for this. So now we're going to look at a little bit of the fourth quarter. Niles North up 10 at this point. So good defense getting a hand on that. Again, just from a general basketball perspective, you would imagine most plays where Reid's taking the ball out of bounds, there's something set up for him to get it back. That's such a tough shot. I mean, I think he ended up with 6 threes this game. I don't know if we saw all of them in this film breakdown in terms of what you guys will see, but there's a high degree of difficulty in the majority of these shots. But because of what he actually works on and the shots he takes in games, these are kind of routine. So this is really just an open 3 for him. It's a difficult shot, but I mean, it really just ends up being a wide open 3. Now that wide open 3 is from a mile away, but that's good action. Good job stopping on a dime there to get that 3. That extends their lead. So now they're up 13 at this point. More chin stuff, a little bit of a wrinkle there with the UCLA screen. Just a little block to block there. All right, so now they're off and running. Again, we mentioned earlier you got to get back in transition against this team. All right, so wing ball screen. Really good in the ball screen reads. Okay, so what I would have liked to see here from Yaris is a little bit more aggression off the bounce with this. Only reason I say that is because what ended up happening is Grant Mordini ended up kind of staying in no man's land, so it wasn't a true double, but he didn't really recover back, right? So here it looks like a switch. Tommy gets back. I think because Tommy stayed with the roll so long, if he just looked to turn the corner off of this ball screen, he probably could have created more of an advantage to get a look. They're still going to be able to get the ball out anyway, but I think he could have created more of an advantage off that. Looked like that might have gotten blocked on the drive. Right, we'll skip ahead a little bit more. So kind of similar action, starting to get that UCLA screen to finish the play in. Ball screen, still kind of flat there, but good job from Reid recovering. It's a good kick out. Yep, it's a rhythm 3 there. And Lake Forest did end up making this a lot closer of a game. Knocked down some threes even later on in the fourth than what we'll probably look at. It's a good drive. So that's the decisiveness. Like pick a direction, go. He's got the ball on a string anyway, so Yaris can really get to where he needs to with the basketball. Okay, so Reid's taken out of bounds here. I would imagine most of the scouting report stuff would say he's getting some type of look to get the ball back. That's a nice play. So that's a good cross screen. Personnel-wise, you know the one guy in the court at this point, I think Reid probably has 4 or 5 threes at this point. The one guy I'm not leaving, so I'm staying hip to hip with, is going to be him. So using him as a screener should open up a cut, especially a situation like this where you have a ball side corner. He's not really going to sink naturally. So if there's not talk and communication on this back screen, Kaiden's going to be wide open. So he was open for a second. Didn't get a clean catch. Now they got a high ball screen coming. So let's see the read on that. It's a good split. Don't mind the patience. Maybe could have kept the dribble alive, but they can get back into action. They're up by 10 at this point. Good pass. It's a good look. That is really good defense. And again, like I said, sometimes I feel like Kaiden may not be the most well-known player outside of the area. He does have, I would say, 3 guys who are probably going to be all-conference guys the next 2 years. But, I mean, you need a guy that can guard with length, athleticism, good instincts. I mean, he responds to that reject as well as you could respond. Like, he's ready to get through it. Watch how quick he flips his hips to get back in front of the ball. That's textbook. And then he shows his hands, gets his chest in front. There's no option there. So he forced that turnover because of the way that he was moving his feet, the technique that he had defensively. All right, so we'll look at a little bit more. Little split action there. They guarded that fairly well. That same pivot shot, stopping, rotating back on the back foot. Really good recovery there defensively. So that's one good shot on Dom's perspective. But this is another one that I feel like Reid doesn't need to gamble here, right? He's not really in the line to pick this pass off anyway. If it was a lollipop pass, I would say go ahead. And he maybe could have stolen this, but the problem is there's no help if he misses it. So you need to be certain in that situation. And then, like I said, Dom can shoot the pull-up, so he gets a rhythm one there. I would guess he probably had 8 or so in the second half. So I think we're back down to single digits at this point. All right, so now he's probing. Now you give him space. It's a nice, quick crossover. And that's what I'm talking about. There's a nice blend of getting the ball out quick, like we talked about earlier with kind of quick 1-second decisions with the ball, and being able to create, manufacture shots for himself in one-on-one situations. How quick this crossover is after he draws it back. So he gets him off balance, goes between the legs, quick cross back, and then that's a tough shot. Not even bad defense from Lake Forest, but that's a scorer making a scoring play right there. Flare screen. See, that flare screen wasn't as much cut open. So here is a situation where I would say Reid's got to keep him in front a little bit better here, right? Because Cade now has to sink. He actually probably could be higher up and still get a hand and play 2 a little bit better. But because Dom got the downhill drive now, you give up another 3 to a guy who's already hit one this quarter, I believe. So like I said, they started to chip back at this. I think we're down to a 7-point game now. Okay, so you need to understand defensively kind of what play calls are. So they already know that call is the exact same play they hit a 3 on earlier in the game, right? So that's just a tough 3. Actually, that might have been the first time they ran this exact play this game. Little wheel route to get him the ball. And that's college line 3 as well. That's not an easy shot by any means. But, you already saw in this game, Yaris and Reid, I think, combined for 40, I want to say, this game, maybe 39. Just great ability to play off of each other, the IQ, the feel for the game, the passing. And like I said, now with Reid's improved athleticism, strength, he's really developed into a nice 2-way player. Yaris is a savvy defender in his own right. And they just have a nice kind of blend of juniors on this team. And obviously it's driven by those two, but Hunter, as you saw, highly impactful in the paint. Kaiden, excellent defender, slashes to the rim well. Dylan's another shooter for them. This is a group where by this time next year, there's not really going to be any teams that want to see them. And there's already teams right now that I think struggle with them because of the different weapons that they have. But there's not a lot of teams in the state right now that are this junior heavy with guys that are ready to play. A lot of times juniors will take, a year or 2 to figure it out. These guys are returners. They got 4 returners in that junior group, and they look like they're ready to make noise right now. This Lake Forest team is tough, and they did a great job kind of taking the punches, playing together. And really, when you look at it, this is a team that I think has the talent to win a sectional.